What a fitting way to bring the conference to a close. Insights from what we call our DIRT combat training centers, and these are the places where we train to win, tomorrow's fight. And that was the focus of these last 3 days. And I can tell you, for the captains and NCOs and lieutenants, if you want to learn to be masters of your craft, you seek out an assignment to one of our training centers. I could tell you, I started out in the 82nd for 4 years. I went out begrudgingly to be a company commander in the 11th Armored Cavalry Regiment as the Op 4 at NTC. I learned more in those 2 years than I've learned my entire career on warfighting, because every single month you were out fighting. Then I got lucky enough to be the commander of the operations group. That's what COG means at the Joint Multinational Readiness Center in Europe. Again, learned a ton. So, seek out those opportunities. For most of you, it'll be post-company command, post-squad leader, platoon sergeant duty. But if you really want to be good at warfighting, you go to our combat training centers, because there, I like to say, you train at the threshold of failure. That's where you learn the most. If it's too easy, it's like a checklist. You can follow it and you're not learning a whole lot. If it's way too complex, you lose confidence in your leadership and your organization. And the CTCs do a great job finding that sweet spot of where you can taste getting it right, but you generally don't get there. But you know what you need to do to be right and to be good. So again, thanks to our CTCs. In closing the conference, I'd like to thank everyone for attending, though many of you, I guess, probably didn't have a choice. But whether live or virtual, and especially all our presenters, many of these were senior leaders of the Army, and they came here to Fort Benning, to the maneuver conference, and were able to impart some wisdom to you all. And each of them, are very busy in their own way, but they made time to be here and share very important insights. And those insights will guide us moving forward towards this Army of 2030, towards winning this fight in large-scale combat operations if it occurs. Again, nobody wants this, but we got to be ready. So again, a lot of great work's been done, but a lot more is going to be done. And hopefully this conference reinforced a common vision on where we're going and what we need to do. And again, we intend to take on a good portion of that here, the tasks that need to be accomplished, largely focused on brigade level and below. It was great to hear, again, Secretary of the Army, Chief, Sergeant Major of the Army. Always great to hear General Retired Scott Miller talk about the warrior ethos and what fighting in the crucible of ground combat means. I was sorry to have missed that. I was out with the Secretary of the Army, and I will be sure to watch that. An incredible warrior. Must never forget, as we've talked earlier, character changes, but the nature of war is still the same. Brutal contest of wills, fought at the tip of the spear. If we had had a Ukrainian platoon leader on there, I guarantee you that he or she would have talked about that. Leading through adversity, being mentally and physically tough, leading through complexity. Particularly valuable insights, Russian-Ukrainian conflict. I was so glad to get Lieutenant General Donahue into this forum with our Ukrainian partner there to share some insights. Again, there's more to come for those that are assigned here. But I heard loud and clear, focus on the basics and get those right. And he had said in the classified forum, one of the things, and it was unclassed that he could have brought up though, but both sides know who the best units are in this fight. And he said it's those that are the best at the basics. So though we don't want to fight, we got to have a sense of urgency to make sure we're ready. But we can't be entirely fixated on Russia. Again, that's on our acute threat, pacing threat, China. It was great having Major General Benchoff share some of the challenges U.S. Army Pacific is working. General Brito today explaining what TRADOC does, what they're for, our discussion on recruiting and the role on building the foundation for units in FORCECOM. How our training here, home station, when you get to units and at our CTCs, must replicate the challenges of the current future operating environment. And we got to train hard at that threshold of failure. Got to get uncomfortable. It's got to be challenging on you mentally and physically, because that's unfortunately what it'll be like, and you got to be ready. You owe the moms and dads of the soldiers that are going to be in your formation the very best. Force Commander and CSM reinforce the importance of engaged leadership, how we got to fight and win the nation's war, and maintaining our focus and training at the company and below. We've got to build lethal squads, platoons, and companies. But as General Pappas discussed, we got a little work to do on our battalions and brigades to make sure they're able to bring to bear combined arms effects, so first contact is not with you all. So again, now's not the time to be complacent. And as we talked again just on the recruiting piece, I need you all thinking about how you can help. We've stood up a little OPT here, a little planning team, but I'm thinking we need a little bit of a Young Turks approach to this. We need to bring in some of you all on the upper deck and on our sides here to help us think innovatively on how do we make sure we're attracting the right talent. You all need to understand what your partners in recruiting command are doing. There's company recruiting commands, there's battalions, help them out. Think about how you can be value added. Help explain how the Army's giving you a sense of purpose, pride in your unit and your organization, the opportunities there. Again, young folks are our best voice here. And then, the joint the junior ROTC programs. A lot was discussed on JROTC out at all these high schools. When you get to your next duty assignment, find out where those are and help again, be a bridge back to the community. Okay, lastly, just a few thank yous. Again, I'd like to thank all the units and organizations who participated, set up booths outside. The discussion in the sidebars and outside is largely as important as what you hear, up on stage. And finally, these conferences just don't happen on their own. I don't know if they're in here, but I'd like to single out 3 people. Mr. Todd Ratliff, were you in here? He's probably solving some problem or he's upstairs, but he was the lead planner for this. This isn't easy to pull something like this together. Mr. Dan Duvall, who was assisting him, and then Colonel Ryan Wiley, who's right here down here in the front row, who helped run us through a whole series of rehearsals, to make sure we could pull this off. And then I'd like to thank, my predecessor. I've only been in the job here for about 2 months, but Major General Pat Donahoe allowed me to start last spring to help shape this thing. And I'm just glad it came to fruition, and all the senior leaders we had sign up, were able to participate. So it's been a great conference. We'll obviously AAR this, and we'll continue to get better. But thanks again for everyone who attended, especially those from out of town. Safe travels. One force, one fight. All dismissed. Thank you.